Few companies have driven adoption and excitement around NFTs like Dapper Labs. First with CryptoKitties, and then in the midst of COVID with NBA Top Shot. For our second panel this morning, please welcome Jorge Urrutia del Pozo, who is Dapper's Vice President of Football. And he's joined on this panel in sports by a representative from a company that is a powerhouse in e-commerce, from a joint venture of Fanatics and Galaxy Digital. We have their CEO, Scott Lawin. We also have NASCAR driver Julia Landauer here, and Kiernan Fitzsimons from the crypto exchange FTX. One of FTX's key spokespeople is Steph Curry, the NBA champion. So the topic this morning is the future of fandom with NFTs. Welcome, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning. So one of the key drivers of NFT adoption over the last 18 months has been through branded content and intellectual property, particularly in sports. So our panel today represents some of the key players who are building the future of how fans will connect with leagues, teams, and athletes through digital ownership. I'm Julia Landauer. I'm a champion race car driver, and I am thrilled to be joined by Scott Lawin, who is CEO of Candy Digital, and with Jorge Urrutia del Pozo, who is VP of Football at Dapper Labs, and Kiernan Fitzsimons, who is Operations and NFT Lead at FTX. Sorry about that. So to start off, I'm going to have each of us just say a quick little bit about us and our companies and how they relate to NFTs and sports. And if you don't mind, I will start. And I am a race car driver, and then about a year and a half ago, didn't know about NFTs and wanted to learn, and I became a creator, a collector, and a community member, which led to an announcement last week that 2 NFT communities, Boss Beauties and Garage XYZ, will be sponsoring me in a NASCAR Xfinity race next month, making them the first NFT communities to sponsor a driver in NASCAR, which is really cool. And then away from the track, I started a company called Frontrunner, where I help onboard small and mid-sized companies into the Web3 space. Kiernan.
Great to chat with you all. I'm Kiernan Fitzsimons. I'm with FTX US. We have crypto derivatives exchange on the international side, and on the .US side, we have a spot crypto exchange as well as an NFT marketplace. And we've really just been trying to activate our partnerships in fun ways and onboard, new entrants to the space with, various NFT touch points and collections.
So, good morning, everyone. I'm Jorge from Dapper Labs. I oversee our football partnerships, football as in soccer. And our mission as a company is to bring the blockchain to 1 billion people. And we do that in 2 ways. One is we build technology, and we build our own blockchain called Flow, which is the most transacted blockchain out there. And the second way we do this is through bringing the best IP in the world to that blockchain. And that's exactly how sports fit in. With deals with the NBA or the NFL, we're trying to bring billions of people who are very passionate about something to experience the blockchain.
Dave? I'm Scott Lawin. I'm the CEO of Candy Digital. We're a joint venture between Galaxy Digital and Fanatics, so largest sports e-commerce player on the planet and leading merchant bank in the blockchain and crypto space. Similar to Jorge, we're focused on sports and entertainment, really through the lens of what does it mean to be a fan and what does it mean to be a collector, and how can we take AAA content and intellectual property, create digital collectibles and digital assets that bring people closer to the things they love and allow them to own a piece of their passion. So we're an official partner of Major League Baseball, of NASCAR and the Race Team Alliance racing teams, WWE, Netflix, and Getty Images. So connecting content, starting in sports, but really across entertainment and culture as well.
So thank you, everyone. And to start off, why should sports fans care about NFTs, and how can we help educate and onboard new participants?
I'll start out. I think this is a big question for a lot of everyday fans. So when we built Candy Digital, we specifically wanted to focus on a platform that could onboard the next million, 10 million, 100 million, up to 1 billion people. And while our roots are rooted in the crypto native community, and Web3 technology, what we realize is that the onboarding mechanism, the friction costs for someone who doesn't own crypto, who's never heard of an NFT before, can be daunting. And so we're very focused on making that an easy process and helping people understand that NFTs can provide them value, not just economic value, but value that connects them to the sport, to the teams, and to the athletes that they love. And I think what we find is, whether it's a baseball fan or whether it's a racing fan or a college fan, that the passion that they have, the things that they collect in the real world, are part of their identity, part of what connects them to their fan community. And when they understand how NFTs can serve that role and actually add value and utility to that experience, that's the light bulb moment. That's why they should care.
Yeah, I mean, throughout our experience with NBA Top Shot, for example, which has 1.6 million registered users, we found that we've really attracted different types of fans. So you have people who are really hardcore fans of the sport, who would not miss a game, who want all of the merch, everything. And this is just another touch point for them. I want to own moments of my favorite players. I want to own moments of my favorite teams. We've also found people who were more casual fans, who perhaps were watching a game from time to time, and now they found a new avenue that they find interesting. This habit of collecting moments, trading moments, upgrading to better and better moments. And we've also found people who honestly didn't know anything about basketball at all, and they found a passion here. So we've seen really everyone coming together, different types of fans, and they come for a sense of ownership. This idea of owning a digital asset is new, it's unique, and it's something people are passionate about. They come for identity and a way of expressing their passion for the sport, for the team, the player. And they also come for rewards. We've sent people to every single playoff game at the NBA so far. It's a very unique opportunity to reward true fandom. So if you were a Celtics fan in January, the team was losing, but we could tell who was holding Celtics moments and who truly loved the Celtics, and you can reward them and send them to a finals game now. So that idea for the league to reward true fandom is something that we hope will attract fans as well.
Just to echo off of what Jorge was saying with regards to ownership and these ongoing touch points for new users, FTX has tried to do a very, very similar execution of giving access and all of these different opportunities to whether you get some form of physical merchandise as a result of an event happening, the Warriors winning in the playoffs, right? There's lots of different opportunities to demonstrate to these people that there are a lot of uses for NFTs beyond collectability and digital memorabilia. And we've tried to just make that super evident that you can unlock access, you can be able to participate in a system that is, again, engaging, being able to trade these peer-to-peer. And we found that newer users are really engaged in that, and they enjoy the experience of having those ongoing touch points.
Yeah, and I think digging into the second part of that question about the education and onboarding, we were talking that that's a challenge, and there's a lot to learn to get involved in Web3. Where do you think the responsibility lies on that education for the fans? Like, is it the teams? Is it the athletes? Is it the agencies who are coming in and helping develop the NFTs? I mean, where do you guys each think that lies? Personally, I feel like teams have a big responsibility because that's where the trust with the fans comes. That's like they're disseminating it, but it's a tough thing to take on. Do you guys have opinions on that?
Yeah, I think it has to be a partnership, right? I think what we saw over the last year, particularly in the sports space, is a lot of teams and leagues sort of rushing into the space with a bit of a gold rush mentality. Obviously, there was a lot of money that came into the space last year and a lot of money made in the space last year. And they, some of them focused exclusively on that up front and didn't really think about what that actually meant as it relates to fan engagement and the fact that these are immutable assets. They're going to live on the blockchain forever. And what does that actually mean? And so that education component, I think, has to be a shared endeavor between the partner, like the three of us or four of us up here, between the teams, and ultimately the league itself. And so level setting on what those objectives are, certainly the commercial objectives, but really what does it mean for the fans over time? Everyone has to play a role in that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And to build on that a little bit, I think what we as companies can do is to first create very easy on-ramps into the product. And in our case, when we launched CryptoKitties like 5 or 6 years ago, we realized that it was actually really hard to buy an NFT, and that a lot of people got lost along the way. And that really transformed our company. We spent 2 years trying to build technology that made that easier, and with things like credit card payments and other technical elements, we managed to build that technology. And what I would say on top of that is that the technology in itself is an enabler, but it's not the product. People are not buying a blockchain, or they're not buying necessarily a set of ones and zeros. What they're buying is something they're passionate about. It has emotional benefits. It may have functional benefits. You're going to get something. You're going to get to go to a game, etc. And that's what we should market, because that's what people care about. And so we try to appeal to those emotional and functional benefits when educating consumers. I think that's important.
So on the education front, we at FTX have always tried to take a crawl, walk, run approach with these people that may be new to Web3. And an example of this is, we have a lot of tooling that we've really built out over the past couple of years that enables people to get a free NFT, right? Geo-gated promo claims within different sports events that are happening, or at any different event with our partners. And so I think learning through doing and being able to have an NFT in your wallet, not have to custody a seed phrase, right? All within a matter of minutes. It really makes it a lot more concrete when people are going throughout this process and they don't have that upfront barrier to entry of getting onboarded in a way that could be super complicated for the newer user. So one of those main deterrents is that barrier to entry, the financial barrier to entry of having to acquire the native token of that blockchain that you're trying to buy an NFT on. And we try to obfuscate that, make it super easy up front. And as you're going down that road, you can begin to engage in different ways.
Thank you. So I think piggybacking off of that, we've mentioned that there are leagues involved, sponsors, brands. What do you think has worked pretty well, or good examples of where the future of the NFTs in sports is going? And what are some things that maybe we can avoid moving forward or learn from? Anyone wants to start?
It's early. That's the first thing I would say. So when you think about Top Shot, it's 1.5 years old. And just let that sink in. It's a new product. Like, we're just getting started, right? But what I think works well, or the projects that tend to work well, are projects that think of themselves, in the long run, and they think about building a community and building an experience. Scott was talking before about a gold rush mentality, and it almost felt like a lot of leagues, teams, IP rights holders, they were rushing to think, okay, what IP do I have so I can do a drop? And that's totally the wrong question. The right question is, what do my fans care about? How do I make them happy? And can NFTs help me do that? And if the answer is yes, then go ahead and think about what you're going to do over the next 5 years. Do not just rush to get the drop. And so I think that's really what's worked well for the leagues that have been successful.
I'd like to add on that a little bit. As the athlete, what I've seen with the NFTs that are sponsoring me, specifically Garage XYZ, part of what they love is that they're giving their community members the ability to kind of vote on what they go and do. They've been to the Indy 500, they've been to Le Mans. And so this idea that the whole relationship potentially between sponsors, teams, athletes, and the fans can become almost more of a partnership, which can be a little scary sometimes. You don't know which way the community is going to want to support, but I think it really kind of brings the fan in a new way that I think is very exciting for the overall feeling of you are part of this team. And I think that autonomy and that kind of part of something bigger beyond just being loyal and collecting merchandise is a really exciting avenue.
Yeah, I'd say one of the other things that I think everyone's learned is that regardless of whether it's a one-off project or whether it's a longer-term sort of roadmap, is these are businesses, and customer support and engagement is really important. So everyone gets excited about the IP, get excited about the art, they get excited about the utility, but things don't always go that well, right? Payments fail, people's wallets get hacked. People buy something and they think you're going to ship them a physical product, and you're like, oh no, that's the product. It's a digital asset. And so, kind of the boring stuff of e-commerce, of fraud and risk control and customer support and connecting to your community and communication, that builds great businesses. Those are just as valid as important in this space as well. I think a lot of people have learned that the hard way along the way. So I'd say invest in that up front.
On that note, I think seeing the market conditions currently and seeing the teams that are building out in a bear market, right, and continuing to just improve their tooling stack and enable those experiences and new functionality, new utility for holders of various projects under their umbrella, it shows those honest intentions, right? And it makes it even more meaningful to the consumer, to the person who's participating. It could be a very different view on things than 6 months ago, right? When there were a flood of those IP-based projects and people that were trying to capitalize on the state of things. And so as time goes on, I think it just becomes super clear who's differentiating themselves in that space, right? Who's making it super obvious to people that they want to have a living, breathing, ongoing operation.
And to piggyback off of that, I would say, do you feel like your organizations have a different strategy in the current market conditions than when there was an influx of cash and excitement, or is it pretty much had that base plan when you started and are continuing on business as usual?
I alluded to our mission before, so that hasn't changed. Our mission is the same mission we had 5 years ago, and this is, I think, our third crypto winter. So in many ways, we feel like we're prepared to continue pursuing that mission. We're financially in a solid position, got long-term contracts with great IP partners, and if anything, this is a time for us to just deliver better products, continue improving our products, and maybe hire more and better talent because it's available now and it maybe wasn't a few months ago.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think our mission has changed at all in terms of our focus and what we're trying to deliver for customers and for fans. And I think this is an interesting time, certainly for the three companies that are represented up here, because over the last 6 to 9 months, the amount of noise in the marketplace was just getting increasingly loud. And so whether you're a fan or a customer, just discovering NFTs for the first time, whether you're a potential license partner, a league, or a team, trying to sort through, I think, one of our partners had 130 meetings, from companies who were pitching them on their IP, and they themselves were getting up to speed on what blockchain was and what NFTs were. And so, while the current market isn't fun for anybody, I think, companies like ourselves are really focused on building, right? Our missions haven't changed. We still want to bring that next 100 million, billion people into this space. And so doing that in a place where our message is maybe clearer, fans and customers have an easier time understanding, and the talent is there who really wants to build and not just sort of get in and get out quickly, I think is a good thing.
And are there any unexpected obstacles that have come from a more of a bear market after such initial excitement over the last 18 months? We've talked about the financial barrier to entry, we've talked about onboarding and education, and those are big hurdles, but is there anything that's popped up that kind of wasn't expected?
I think overall, one of the things that we've seen is that, this can be observed on Twitter, this could be observed just in the general, even the difference between conferences that are occurring now versus 6 months ago is that overall, there are slightly less participants that are around right now. And so it gives everybody an opportunity to make a much more clear case for themselves. And that leads into a pivot that we've sort of focused on, which has been, taking a step back and working on our tooling to make that onboarding that much smoother in this time where we have a little bit less hectic bull market, putting out fires, that sort of activity. And yeah, it gives us an opportunity to really, again, reevaluate, make that opportunity in this slower time for new entrants to get onboarded in a way that's, 10 times as efficient as it was.
Yeah, I think as Jorge had mentioned, right, there's been several cycles already in the NFT markets, right? And Dapper's, kind of OG in the space, and so you guys have been through it. I think when you go through a time like this, right, it really separates, who are the tourists and who are the settlers, right? Who showed up because, there was a lot of hype and there was a lot of money flowing around, and who are the people who are here because they really believe in what's being built, what the potential for blockchain and NFTs are, how it's going to transform, the sports business, the entertainment business, the art business, et cetera. And so that means fewer people, right? To your point, Kiernan, some of those tourists go on to the next thing, but this is the time over the next 1 year, 2 year, or whatever this period is going to look like, where, the great companies are going to get better and new companies are going to get created that will lead the next wave up.
And we have a few minutes left, so kind of ending on that note of what, over the next 3 years, 5 years, things move very quickly in the NFT space and Web3 space. What are we looking forward to? What are you excited about? I'll go first. I look at things through the motorsports lens, through the athlete lens. I'm really excited in a financially driven sport where sponsorship is so important that communities, if they get more and more involved, will be able to help all the different kinds of drivers who are on the up and coming. And I think that expands to other sports, like the ability to help the underdog or the less well-supported athlete that has all the talent. I think that it almost kind of democratizes that a little bit, or it can. And I'm excited to see how that engagement picks up and then kind of changes that landscape.
Yeah, I think when it comes to things that we're excited about, it's very clear that NFTs are and continue to be one of the best onboarding tools for people that may not be trading oriented or interested in financial markets. And so getting them to, come on and participate in this space in a way that makes sense for them is super important to us. And so one of the main efforts that we're trying to execute on in the next few years is building out our white label product a lot further. So, FTX has a set of APIs, and the entire exchange can be leveraged by a partner to basically meet their user base where they lie. And that's one of the reasons that I think the onboarding can really get, like you said, bringing on the next 1 million, 10 million, 100 million users. We can do this in a way that is a lot less, involves way less friction, and is in the, the native area of this user base for all of these different fan subsets.
So not really a prediction or a forecast because I don't have a crystal ball, but something I'm really excited about as a fan first, not from a corporate standpoint, is this idea of giving a voice to fans and giving power back to the fans. So I grew up in Europe. Soccer teams that used to be owned by basically socios members. And with technologies such as decentralized autonomous organizations and giving people the tools to organize, I think this idea of a fan club could be reimagined entirely. And you've seen people attempt to buy a club, or you could see people attempt to, get a player to come to your team, interact with the athlete much more closely in ways that it just wasn't possible before because the technology wasn't there for people to self-organize. I'm excited about that area. I know that there's limitations and it's early, but anything that has to do with giving people more of an active role and more participation in sports is something that I'm terribly excited about.
Yeah, I'm excited for when we get to the point where no one talks about NFTs because they're just so pervasive, right? Where having a digital asset connected to every ticket that you have for a game, every collectible that you have, your identity online, we aren't in this loop of what are NFTs, are they good for the environment, how do they work, is it a rug pull? It's everyone has digital connectivity, NFTs are offered broadly, some of those are going to be incredibly valuable, some of them are going to be given away for free, they connect people to their community, and that's ultimately where I think we're going, where we spend less time talking about, what are NFTs and how do we onboard that next 10 million or 100 million, we're there.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. This was a fun panel. I hope you guys enjoyed, and that's all for right now.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.